Thank you for your sangha talk. So we have a lot of new people here, and if you can't see me, just move your cushion. There's like a seat there and a seat there if you want to be able to see the speaker. So sangha really means community. And as Steve said, the notion of the sangha has changed over time, and it changes in different places. Originally, the sangha was just the monks and the nuns, and then it enlarged to all practitioners, and in some sense, all sentient beings. We're not separate from one another. So the sangha is vast and wide, and we have to acknowledge our responsibility to all parts of the sangha. So are there any questions? So I will say that we have a lot of new people today. So I want to talk a little bit because we had very little time to give orientation. We had 2 people come, and then we had 3 more people come, so we said bye-bye to the 2 people and talked to the 3 people, and so no one got a complete orientation. So I wanted to say, especially about posture, because we didn't have much time to say much about it. So it's really important that your neck is straight and your chin is tucked in. Some people who are sitting like this, they understand now why that's so important. So that's very important to create stability and ease your back muscles. And then this hand posture, this mudra we call it, where it's your thumbs are just about a little below your waist, and your bottom part, your left hand is over your right, and the bottom part of your hands is about 3 fingers below your belly button is the center of that, and so your bottom part is below that. And this 3 fingers below your belly button, that's sometimes called an energy garden in Chinese, Tian Tian, and in Korean it's called Tanjin, and in Japanese it's called Hara. So if you've done martial arts, you're familiar, depending on what the martial arts you've done. If it was Japanese martial art with Hara, if it's Korean martial art with Tanjin, and if it's a Chinese martial art with Tantian. And so this is a kind of power spot, and we want our energy to rest there. This is where our stability lies. If our energy rests there, then we're stable. If our energy rests here, then we're not stable. If our energy rests here, we're really not stable. So we have this hand mudra that reminds us where our stability spot is, where our energy garden is. And it's important to try to keep this, not like this, not like that, it's important to try to keep that rounded shape. Now, sometimes, people's fingers are hyperextended or something, and it's hard to do. But if you can, this is really important. And then you can bring your energy back to that spot. So when your mind wanders from your practice, then you have a physical place to bring your energy. And you just sort of let it sink. And I know if you haven't done meditation or anything like it, maybe yoga or something, this thing of letting your energy settle into, your Tian may seem really, really strange. But if you pay attention, after a while, it starts making sense. I know when I first heard it, I was like, what? What is this? But you begin to understand what that means. So you just let it sink down. Just let it sink down and come to rest where your hands are. And so we have this posture, and whatever our legs are doing, our knees are stable on the ground as much as possible. That's really important, because otherwise you're creating a lot of tension in your lower back. So some people kneel, some people sit half lotus, full lotus, whatever. Some people are able to rest the knee of one leg on the leg of the other. Okay, as long as your knees are stable. That's really important. So, and then we never got to tell anyone what to do with their eyes. So what you do with your eyes is you drop them. You just look, it's about a 45-degree angle to the floor. And so you just drop them, and your gaze is very soft. You're not staring at anything. You're just, letting your eyes rest at about a 45-degree angle to the floor. And what that does is you have two tripods now that are set up. One is your butt and your knees, and the other is your knees and where your eyes are softly resting. So you sort of have two tripods set up, which helps create stability. When I started meditation, I used to look straight ahead. And if you look straight ahead, it's like your energy just streams out. But if you look down, it's like you create this circuit of energy where your energy is feeding back into you. So that's why we have this open, if you close your eyes, you fall asleep. So, or you dream or something, but hallucinate, I don't know what. But if your eyes are open and they're just softly, and you're not staring at anything. So that's the posture that we want. And then in Zen, we're a Lin Chi school. So Lin Chi was a great Chinese master, and Korean Zen, which was properly called Sun, descends from Lin Chi, and then also Japanese Rinzai descends from Lin Chi. So we're kind of a cousin of Japanese Rinzai. And all Lin Chi schools, their meditation practice always has some very simple, non-intellectual thing that you do with your mind. Soto Zen practice is different. And since I've never done it, I have heard about it, but I don't know it firsthand, so I'm not going to talk about it. But all Lin Chi Zen practices are, they have some very simple thing that you're doing with your mind that is not cognitive. And what I always recommend for beginners, and what I recommended this morning, was, the sometimes called yoga breathing. Your stomach goes out and the breath comes in, your stomach goes out and the breath comes in and the breath goes out. Stomach out gives your lungs room to expand. Stomach in squeezes your lungs, and so that way you're naturally breathing, and you're breathing with your whole body rather than, So you have this kind of breathing, and your out-breath will naturally be about twice as long as your in-breath. You don't have to count. It's going to naturally happen that way. And then on every out-breath, first you count 1 on the first out-breath. You breathe in, then you count 2 on the second out-breath. Breathe in, you count 3, and so on. You go all the way up to 10, and you come back to 1, and you do it over and over and over again. When your mind wanders, you have something very specific to bring it back to. Oh, breath number 4 in this cycle. So it's something very specific to bring it back to, as opposed to stop thinking, because that doesn't work. Now stop thinking, that doesn't work. Then you've just added another layer of thought. But 4, 5, 6, like that. So that's what I recommend for people who are really new to the practice. And then when you've been practicing a while, there are other techniques that have a practice context. So like I wouldn't recommend mantra if you haven't been saying mantras for a while, So we have some other practices that when you've been practicing for a while with us, then they have a context, and then you can try them. But that's basically little, 15 minutes? No, 10 minutes, something on Zen meditation, little introduction to Zen meditation to fill in for any blanks that I left earlier. Now, are there any questions? Yes.
So I noticed when I first started, or I still do it now, I was doing it with my left hand on bottom
left
for the
hand
mantra.
over the right.
Oh, so like that?
Yeah,
or
left
is my
hand
right
over.
hand supposed to be on bottom?
This left hand over right, like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but not like this. Left hand resting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think I was doing it my right hand and my left.
That's not so important, but yeah, traditionally it's left hand over right. That's your question?
No, it was.
All right, that was easy. Any other questions? Anyone online? Liz.
I have a question about sangha.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that is the most difficult practice isn't necessarily sangha practice. And I do like that saying about, that it's all the potatoes in the water and you're agitating it and the potatoes rub each other and the dirt comes off. I mean, that's a great metaphor. But in a previous sangha, um, the focus a lot, anyway, my understanding of it, it may have been wrong, was you just, if you have a problem, it's your problem. So if there's a sangha issue, it's your problem, and so you work through it yourself without dealing with the other person or persons that you may have a conflict with, because when you have a group of people, conflict naturally arises. I think we're just all humans and all that. And so can you say something about sangha, in terms of when there's conflict, other than the nice little metaphor about how you actually deal with that? What do you do? Is it just you just continue to work on yourself? What do you do when there's conflict in the sangha?
So it's not just in the sangha. What do you do when there's conflict? And that's a very, very difficult question. And it's very situational. There are no easy answers. If you're in an abusive relationship, working on yourself to clear your mind is not going to help. Okay? So if you look at extreme situations, and it becomes very clear that these nice little truisms that people say are not going to help. If you're in an abusive situation, then the notion of these potatoes rubbing against each other, and then they get, so I should explain, so in Korea and probably throughout Asia, if you want to clean potatoes, although when did they get potatoes in East Asia, but at some point they did. If you want to clean potatoes, you put them in a big barrel with a lot of water, but not too much water, and you have a great big stick and you agitate them with the stick, and they rub against each other, and before you know it, they're clean. This is also skinning garlic. It's the same thing. You put the garlic cloves in and you shake them up really good, and bingo, their skin's just detached. These nice little garlic cloves. I've never tried it, but I've seen it on YouTube, right? So it has to be real. Yeah. So. So these metaphors are very nice, but in reality, when we have conflict, it takes a lot of skill, and we don't always resolve it well. And so all I can say is when there's conflict, we have to understand our role in it. We have to understand our attachment to our opinions and our ideas, which is not saying that we have to let the other person, because they are also attached to their opinions and their ideas. We're going to have a board meeting at noon, and we will have different opinions and different ideas, and we may or may not have conflict, but we'll almost guarantee there'll be at least some disagreement. Oh, I don't think that's such a good idea. I think it's a good idea. So what helps me in conflict situations is, first of all, to understand that it's not that I'm this perfect person and my ideas are these perfect ideas and everybody should agree with me. And if you don't agree with me, there's something wrong with you. That's the first thing. To understand I'm just one person. We're all in this together. And maybe my ideas are not the best ones. So be open to what other people say and do. And then another thing that I find really important is when it seems that people are getting really upset, to try to have an open heart about their being upset. That usually when person A is yelling at person B, is because of something that happened to person A a long, long time ago that they may not even remember. That is years of karma You know, all this karma that we bring to every situation. So to have a really open heart about everybody's karma and a generosity of spirit. So not like you're a bad person, but just having an open heart and just giving people room, you know. And then, you know, sometimes you have to do all kinds of administrative tricks, whatever they happen to be in the situation. But there's no real rules for dealing with conflict. And, you know, any of these sort of, you know, the 10 tricks to having an organization without conflict, I mean, that doesn't work. You know, it never works. These, you know, 1-minute manager, whatever, you know, this stuff never works. And it doesn't work because it has a tight idea of what should happen. Just like you're saying, this tight idea, like, oh, if you're upset about something, that's your problem. Well, you might be upset about something that you should be upset about, you know? Maybe somebody's done something really racist or really sexist, or in some way, maybe someone's really hurt someone's feelings. Maybe someone's done something that can actually cause damage. You know, I have a friend who is in an organization, and the person who was their treasurer, you didn't file the little form for like 5 years. It's a nonprofit, and she didn't file a form. You know, you have a right to be upset when somebody does something like that, because it puts the whole organization in danger. So, you know, just keep an open mind and an open heart, and accept responsibility, which is different from saying that it's all your fault. It's a relationship, and not just a relationship between two people, but usually a relationship among many people. So yeah, human conflict is very, very difficult. Yeah, that's why it's good, you know, you sit these retreats and everyone's silent. And even then people get upset with each other. Even then, that person eats too noisily, you know. That person doesn't, you know, hold the tea right, you know, whatever it is. People will always get upset at each other. It's remarkable. It's really amazing how we do that. We just do that. And people get upset at us. Why are they upset at me? You know, I never do anything wrong. So yeah, just keep your heart open, keep your mind open, and accept responsibility, which means accept that you are part of this. You're not a part, you're part of the situation. That's all I can say. So thank you. That's a wonderful question. We have a little bit of time for a short question, if anyone has one. Okay, so we can turn off the